Tonight, the Fall Fair continues. A look at what's in store this weekend. Drug trafficking ring. Mounties in Fort St. John arrest a pair of suspects. And measles update. A possible exposure in Fort St. John. Well, good evening and thank you for joining us. And we begin tonight with day 3 of the Dawson Creek exhibition and stampede. Well, the nice weather this week has brought out thousands of people to the Fall Fair. And with sunny skies and warm temperatures in the forecast, organizers are saying things should get even busier. Here's Noah Abel with a look ahead to what's on tap this weekend.
You can really feel the excitement in the air on the midway today. It's day 3 of the Dawson Creek exhibition and stampede, and organizers are expecting a busy weekend ahead.
3, 2, 1, let's go, guys.
Murray Pratt, the exhibition organizer, says the number of visitors is on par with the previous year so far. Last year, around 50,000 people walked through the gates in the first 3 stampede days. Pratt says they expect that number to go way up over the weekend with warm temperatures coming. Gates open at 7 a.m. every day. Stampede vendors are open early at 8 a.m. on Saturday and 9 a.m. on Sunday. The midway opens at noon all weekend with 26 rides for kids of all ages. You can also check out this year's new attraction, the slingshot that throws you 200 feet in the air. On Saturday, organizers said the watering hole will be the best place to be in the Peace region. It will feature live music all day, starting at noon, and Canadian country music singer Craig Moritz is headlining at 8:30. The Canadian Pro Rodeo starts at 12:30 over the weekend, and Sunday, a local hero comes back home to perform. You'll also get the chance to see rodeo royalty, as Miss Rodeo Canada and Miss Teepee Creek Stampede 2025 will be in attendance. And of course, at 5:30 every night, you won't want to miss the All-Pro Canadian Chuck Wagon races. Great weather conditions are expected for the weekend with temperatures in the mid-20s and lots of sun. Make sure to wear sunscreen and to drink lots of water. You can check out the event schedule on the Dawson Creek Exhibition and Stampede website. Tickets are still available at the door, ranging from $24 to $50 for events like fair, rodeo, and chuck wagons. Noah Abel, CJDC-TV News, Dawson Creek.
And we will have more on this year's exhibition and in stampede later on in sports. Well, police in Fort St. John disrupting a drug trafficking ring. Mounties executing a search warrant on a residence on 103rd Avenue. Investigators uncovered what they say was an alleged tablet manufacturing operation. Officers seizing a large amount of drugs, 2 firearms, pill presses, and precursor chemicals used in the production of illicit drugs. Now, police say the discovery of the tablet manufacturing operation is very concerning. They say tablets appeared as legitimate pharmaceutical medications. 2 men, 42 and 49 years old, were arrested. They were released from custody pending the approval of charges. Well, there's another potential measles exposure in Fort St. John to tell you about tonight. Public Health saying the Fort St. John Hospital is once again the site of a possible exposure. Now, if you were at the Fort Emergency Department from 10:45 in the morning to 4:35 in the afternoon on August 3rd, Northern Health says you may have been exposed to the virus. Anyone who's been exposed is being asked to isolate for a period of at least 4 days and seek medical treatment. And after a spike in the number of measles cases, the BC Centre for Disease Control confirming no new cases across the Northern Health region. The total number of cases remains at 110 in the region. Currently, there are 160 confirmed cases in BC. 3 in Fraser. Health and Interior Health are considered active. Health officials continue to say that immunization is the best way to fight the highly contagious virus. BC's finances have taken yet another hit. The provincial government ended its fiscal year in the red, according to audited public accounts. The debt has also ballooned. However, the effects of the trade war and the elimination of the carbon tax won't be known for another month. Here's CTV's Rob Buffin.
BC's public
Laying out BC's bottom line for the last fiscal year, the finance minister put a positive take on a $7.3 billion deficit, noting it's $564 million less than forecast, thanks to higher-than-expected ICBC revenues that outpaced higher-than-projected costs,
including responding to climate emergencies, housing, and healthcare.
The province noting the unemployment rate was 5.6%, lower than the national average, while economic growth trailed the average. Critics hammering that BC's debt ballooned to $134 billion, up $44 billion or nearly 50% in the past 2 years, and $10 billion more last year than forecast.
Taxpayers should be really concerned that David Eby blew past his own borrowing projections and borrowed about $10.6 billion more last year than the government projected.
$25 billion of that racked up as operating debt in just 2 years, paying for expenses such as public servant salaries.
This is like paying your staff with a credit card. Any business owner will tell you that is not a sustainable way to try to run a business.
Expect that debt to grow, says the opposition. Hundreds of thousands of public sector workers' contracts are being renegotiated this year.
So what is this going to look like moving forward, given that we're negotiating a new agreement that the Premier wasn't able to manage the cost pressures of in the first place?
The Finance Minister will present the current state of BC's books in next month's first quarter update, when many predict the $11 billion deficit projected for this year will climb, thanks to the lost revenue due to the elimination of the carbon tax, along with the impact of Trump's tariffs.
We are in very challenging economic times. There's just no two ways about it.
Just how challenging? We'll find out September 15th.
Robert Buffum, CTV News, Victoria.
Well, there are new calls to expand BC's publicly funded in vitro fertilization program. It comes after thousands remain on the wait list and some aren't even eligible. Laura Spencer is a fertility coach. She's created an online petition to expand the program. She says there are many limits on who can apply, including on income and age. The program is only designated to last 2 years, while the province says applications are reviewed on a first-come, first-served basis. Spencer is concerned that many of her clients will not get the money.
Right now, there's just a lot of misunderstanding and buzz around like, okay, when is my time coming up? When am I going to be seen? Will I be, seen for my IVF treatment this year? Will it be next year? Will it be ever? Will it ever happen?
The province has earmarked $68 million for the program, but has not revealed how much funding has been used so far. The program is being delivered at 4 clinics across British Columbia. Advanced polls are now open in the Alberta by-election that could return Pierre Poilievre to the House of Commons. Voters can now cast their ballot in the riding of Battle River Crowfoot. The Conservative member there stepped aside to allow his party leader to run. The by-election is set for August the 18th. Poilievre is a candidate after losing his Ottawa seat in the April federal election. For the by-election, voters must fill out a blank ballot for the first time ever, as a record 214 candidates are running. The majority of the other candidates are part of a protest group calling for changes to Canada's electoral system. Yesterday, Poilievre once again criticizing the longest ballot campaign that also targeted his riding in the general election.
But that's not what these people are doing. They're adding their names even though they're not campaigning. They don't expect to win. They just want to inundate the ballot to confuse the situation, make it harder for people to vote. People with vision problems, the elderly, others who have difficulty are going to have a harder time voting, and it shouldn't be allowed.
Advanced polls are open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for the next 4 days. Well, it's a tough job market for a growing number of Canadians this summer, especially young people. 41,000 jobs were lost in July, driven largely by people in their late teens and early 20s. But Canada's overall unemployment rate remains stable. CTV's Abigail Beeman has the latest snapshot on the national economy.
Noah Kelly has been applying everywhere with no luck, and the timing is urgent.
I'm getting evicted because I lost my job, my last job, and now I can't make my rent.
The unemployment rate for those 15 to 24 hit 14.6 in July. That's the highest since 2010, excluding 2 COVID years.
It's been incredibly difficult to find a job, especially as a person who doesn't have experience previously.
Overall, there were 41,000 job losses in July compared to 83,000 gains in June. Hardest hit, full-time workers, down 51,000. The Prime Minister pointed to wage growth as a good sign.
That, combined with the tax cut that we put in place, combined with the removal of the consumer carbon tax and other measures, progress on cost of living. Just to be clear, progress. We're not satisfied that that's enough. There's much more that needs to be done.
But these government workers involved in student hiring say Mark Carney's looming savings targets are already making a difference in their departments.
Hiring this summer has been difficult. You have to look at every specific detail and make sure that this student can be funded.
Less departments are interested because they have less money, they have to cut spending.
Perhaps surprisingly, with the trade war, manufacturing jobs didn't see a big hit, with RBC economists saying CUSMA has softened the blow.
Things are definitely softer. This is not an ideal environment by any stance, but perhaps it's just not as severe of a shock as, what was feared earlier in the spring.
RBC cautiously optimistic that unemployment rate will peak soon, around 7%, and also predicting no further interest rate cuts from the Bank of Canada. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Well, the union representing close to 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants says airports will be affected during what it is calling a nationwide day of action on Monday. CUPE says it wants members to show unified support for their bargaining committee. The airline and the union are still negotiating. The flight attendants voted 99.7% in favor of strike action on Tuesday. So they could begin job action on August the 16th. The simultaneous action on Monday will begin at airports in Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto, and Montreal. The flight attendants are seeking higher wages and the elimination of unpaid work. The federal government is spending $2 billion to give soldiers a pay increase. It's in an effort to keep them in the military and to recruit new members. The Prime Minister making the announcement at CFB Trenton today, the country's largest Air Force base. But as Judy Trin tells us, Canada is still short thousands of troops.
All members of the Canadian Armed Forces will receive a pay raise.
In front of a wall of soldiers at the country's largest Air Force base, the Prime Minister said it was time to recognize the worth of the Canadian Armed Forces.
These are the men and women we trust to wear the maple leaf, the Canadian flag, and to risk their lives for it. Their pay, your pay, should reflect the weight of your responsibilities.
The government will spend $2 billion to increase the salaries for the rank and file. Non-commissioned officers will see raises of between 8 and 20%. An entry-level soldier will now get an additional $700 a month and earn more than $52,000 a year. After he met with soldiers at CFB Trenton, the Prime Minister said better compensation was needed to recruit and retain soldiers to meet current global challenges, not just Russia and China, but also climate change.
The Arctic's melting. Our wildfires and floods are more frequent and devastating. And these are all threats to which the Canadian Armed Forces responds.
For the first time, soldiers will get daily bonus pay when they are deployed on domestic missions to help Canadians during natural disasters. Bonuses will also be given to officers who are deployed to serve in the Arctic and who are deployed overseas. Retention bonuses will also be offered for soldiers who take on additional training. The country's top soldier says this should allow Canada to make up a shortfall of more than 12,700 soldiers before 2030.
We have increased the target for recruits this year. We're at 7,600, which is about 1,000 more than last year. And this is how we are going to gain back to full strength.
Defense officials say this is the biggest pay raise for soldiers since 1998. It also contributes to Canada's commitment to making its 2% NATO target by the end of this fiscal year. Judy Trin, Canadian Forces Base, Trenton.
All right, please do stay tuned. Noah will be right back with a look at the weekend weather.